The sentence landed with the force of a hammer blow. I think we should take a break. Sarah's tone was gentle, almost soothing, yet her gaze slid toward the floor, refusing to meet mine. We were standing in her cramped kitchen, the smell of scorched coffee hanging in the air, the refrigerator humming like a steady reminder of the silence between us. My chest pounded so violently I could barely hear the faint city noise filtering through the window. I tried to speak, but what left my mouth was little more than a whisper. Okay. Her ex, Daniel, had returned to town only days earlier. Neither of us had spoken his name, yet his presence seemed to linger between every word. My hands pressed against the edge of the counter, the cold laminate digging into my skin. My thoughts spun in endless circles, dissecting her voice for cracks, hesitation, regret, or maybe simple fatigue. We'd been together 2 years. 2 years of laughter in the dark, of half-finished songs on shared playlists, of her head nestled on my chest during movie nights. Now she stood rigid, arms crossed, posture closed off like she was shielding herself from me. The ticking of the wall clock filled the room, each second dragging out the distance between us. I swallowed hard and finally rasped, "Why?" My throat burned with the effort. She shifted her weight, sneakers squealing against the worn linoleum. "I just need space, Ethan. To figure some things out." Her words were slippery, evasive, like a riddle missing most of its clues. Every instinct screamed to demand specifics, to shake the truth out of her, but there was a pleading emptiness in her eyes that stopped me cold. Without another word, I grabbed my jacket and left. The sound of the door latching behind me cracked like gunfire in the silence. Outside, autumn bit at my skin, the air heavy with wet leaves and exhaust. The city buzzed on, indifferent, cars honking, streetlights flickering, strangers brushing shoulders. But I felt like a thread snapped loose, unraveling with every step. My phone vibrated in my pocket. Sarah's name. A text. "I'm sorry. It's not you." "Not me. Then who?" Daniel's face surged into my mind, smug and self-assured. The way he'd always overstayed his visits when coming to collect old things she once kept for him. I kept walking, boots scraping uneven pavement, memories clawing up from the past, her laugh at my burnt pancakes, her fingers drawing lazy patterns on my arm, her whisper in the dark. But other shadows intruded. The phone lighting up at strange hours, sudden dinners that didn't add up, the quick flick of her thumb to lock her screen when I entered the room. Signs I'd buried under trust, now flaring like sparks ready to catch. By the time I reached my apartment, my hands wouldn't stop shaking. I poured whiskey, the glass rattling as liquid sloshed over the rim. My phone sat on the table, daring me to call, but fear, or maybe pride, kept me frozen. Instead, I scrolled through old messages. A heart sheet sent at 2 a.m. a month ago. A plan canceled with a headache 2 weeks back. A casual mention just last week. Daniel's back. Got a downtown job. At the time it had felt like nothing. Now it sounded like foreshadowing. The next morning, I dragged myself to work, my head pounding, heart hollow. Spreadsheets blurred. Voices of coworkers melted into static. Every thought circled back to her. I needed to know. Not imagine. Not suspect, no. So I did something I'd sworn never to do. I checked her social media. Her feed was mostly cryptic quotes and coffee shop snapshots. Harmless. But Daniel's profile told another story. A fresh photo of him in a bar, leaning in close to a woman whose face was obscured. Her hair, chestnut brown, curled at the ends, hit me like a punch. Too familiar. My gut twisted. I told myself it couldn't be her. I told myself I was spiraling. But that evening, I found myself outside her building, leaning in shadows like some character in a cheap drama. Dusk bruised the sky, the wind cut sharp, and above me her apartment window glowed with warm light. I didn't know what I wanted, to see her smile or proof of betrayal. And then I saw them. 2 figures moved across the curtain, their outlines framed in gold. One was Sarah. There was no mistaking her posture. The other was taller, broader. Their shadows brushed close, lingered, almost merged. My lungs seized. I wanted to storm up, pound the door, scream her name. But my feet anchored me to the pavement. What could I even say? My silence was the only weapon I had left, so I turned and let the city swallow me. Days blurred. I ignored her messages, half apologies, half promises of a talk soon. Every word was a splinter, and still I pieced together fragments. A friend casually mentioning she'd been seen with Daniel at a cafe, another hinting that she seemed distracted, not herself. Each story deepened the wound. And then one night, she appeared at my door. Her hair was wild, eyes rimmed red like she'd been crying for hours. "Ethan, please. Can we talk?" I let her in, my chest a storm. She sat at the edge of my couch, hands twisting themselves raw. "I didn't mean for this," she began, and my blood froze. She never said his name, but she didn't need to. She spoke of confusion, of resurfacing emotions, of seeing Daniel, just to talk, until it spiraled into something else. "I didn't cheat," she insisted, but her voice cracked under the weight of the lie. "Complicated," I repeated, voice flat. "Dangerous, you mean? You asked for space the very week he came back, and now you're here with this." My nails dug into my palms as she broke into sobs. A part of me longed to comfort her, to pull her close, but another part, the part that remembered the silhouettes, the secrecy, kept me rooted. "Did you sleep with him?" The words scraped my throat raw. She froze, breath hitched. No, the whisper was too faint, too late. The silence afterward screamed louder than truth. I didn't rage. I didn't shove her out. I only stared at the stranger who had worn Sarah's face for 2 years. "Get out," I said finally, voice hollow. She left. Her footsteps echoed down the hall, until nothing remained. The real twist arrived a week later. My phone buzzed with a message from Daniel himself. "She didn't tell you, did she?" It wasn't just me. Attached was a screenshot. Sarah's messages to another man, months old, dripping with words she had never spoken to me. It hadn't been one betrayal. It had been layers, a web spun long before she ever asked for space. I sat in the dark, the glow of the screen searing my eyes, and realized the harshest truth of all. The woman I thought I loved never truly existed.